Welcome to another exciting episode of In Depth and Out Loud with me, Dubbz. And today I have a very special guest, Nadia Mohamed, General Manager of Avon, Justine, my favorite products. So I'm really excited. I'm probably the most excited one here today. We're going to be chatting about marketing and branding, perfect for a student like you who is studying business, focusing in branding and marketing. Nadia, I'm so excited to have you here, and thank you so much for taking the time out.
Of course.
So, I mean, you and I had a brief chat, and I thought to myself, she is gorgeous, but she is probably very busy. And the first thing I want to ask you is, what's a typical day like for you?
Yeah, typical days, and thank you for saying that. I'm going to take that compliment. I need you in my closet in the morning. But a typical day for me starts with a bit of meditation, to be honest. My mom was a mindfulness practitioner, or practitioner, so that's where we've kind of been groomed, is to center the mind. I reflect, I think about the day that's passed, I journal, and then I go straight into what you would typically do as a leader, right? Go straight into looking at performance indicators. What are we on track with? What are we off track with? Look at certain problems that we aim to solve. Where are we with those? And then the urgent solutions that you have to put into play, because unfortunately that's what business gives you, is business gives you problems every day that not necessarily you can plan for. And then we look into those, and I'm very grateful, surrounded by an amazing leadership team. So I'm quite prepared for those situations because of the background, implementations, preparations, strategy, direction. So that's a typical day for me. Very long one, back to back all day.
I wish I could fit in meditating, but I can't. And it's just, I don't think I know how to meditate.
It takes you.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
My mom started with just teaching us how to calm the mind with breathing. So breathing meditation is always great to do. And then obviously, I've recently lost practice with my breathing yoga practice, but just purely because of time, unfortunately. But that's one way to learn. And it's
absolutely.
Really a beautiful practice. Right now, before we kicked off, I cleared my mind by just
There we go.
Right? You should be used to this, actually. I'm speaking to a celebrity.
No. But you're not just a leader. You're a leader with purpose. What does it mean to be a leader with purpose, especially in building a brand?
Yeah. So my greatest belief as a marketer, from graduating to working my way up to where I am now, I just worked my way up to having more problems and draft a wind come my way. But the greatest and most important thing that brands can do is aid society and make a difference in society. I don't think it's something that comes naturally to all brands, but I think there is a responsibility for us to play a role in society, to level the playing field. Governments can't do all of this. And finding that ingrained purpose in what you serve as a proposition, by how it relates to making a difference in someone's life. Coming to Avon has been a no-brainer. My entire career, Woolworths, Vodacom, Vodafone,
McCain
Time
Food.
Digital, McCain Foods, Asia, Australia, never go back to Australia, South Africa, back to Hong Kong, back again, then in Canada, can't walk because I've got so many layers of clothes on. But the one thing I always saw in those brands is the opportunity to build real and authentic relationships with your consumers by aiding society. And that is the key. You aid society through purpose. Avon has been doing it for 135 years. I couldn't be in a better space.
That is amazing. You sound fulfilled just in you explaining your journey. But I know that also you have a lot of international experience. And I like to say every experience in life is interconnected and to the bigger picture. And I think your bigger picture is this moment. It's Avon.
It's Avon.
Right. So how do your past jobs help you in your current role of building a purpose-driven beauty brand?
Yeah. So you get to a point where you get old like me and you start realizing, wow, I'm a little tired from kind of doing the same thing over and over, but I've always had fulfillment because I love getting up to do what I do, because I've always done it with purpose. Every brand, whether you're talking Cadbury, every brand, I've kind of had the pleasure of leading. The key for me, though, is different industries give you a diverse background, experience. Absolutely. What you do experience in most level changes is breadth and depth. That has been kind of my base profile of how I've applied my experience regardless of where I've gone. Right? So going from FMCG into telco, applied the breadth and depth I learned. So I stayed at one level, VP marketing director level, across many of these organizations for the purpose of learning how to diversify my experience across different industries. That pushes your thinking to the next level. You always have your base foundation and you can apply it. You know, the basic 101s is what graduates come in and forget at times. And you've got to remind them, hey guys, you learned this theory. You learned you need a proposition that has X, Y, and Z in order to be differentiated. And you can't forget about the money, right?
No,
because the money allows us to do purpose, to aid society. So that experience of how to get that formula of breadth and depth, but experience in different assimilations of how the industry has evolved, how the marketing technique has evolved.
It has indeed.
That's probably the only way I can describe how I apply myself. I also unlearn, right? Because I've learned a lot, but in some instances, in some industries, across some of my brands, I realized I might need to unlearn some things in order to learn and understand the true depth of my proposition, because that's where things differ. The basic fundamentals don't, but sometimes you have to unlearn, and you have to take the assumptions out of your view and your center of gravity, and you've got to jump into that notion of, I don't have any assumptions right now, teach me. And that's why I think the only thing my experience has highlighted is you have to be a student for life. You don't stop studying when you've done your master's, when you've done your PhD. You just don't stop. You have to be a student for life to be successful.
I just love what you just said about unlearning, because things evolve. And also, if you don't put yourself in that position to say, I'm a student, you're not going to grow, and you're not going to be able to grasp a lot of things and grow. And you mentioned in depth.
Correct.
So I think that's advice that I'm going to take as well for myself, if that's okay with you. I'll just put it into my pocket.
I'm putting that to my journal tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, that's fantastic one. I love it. You mentioned a lot of skills that you've acquired over the years. What skills from your past job do you think are most helpful now?
Yeah. One.
Wow.
Maybe two.
Okay.
Authenticity. One, be a real leader from the beginning. You start off in an organization, you observe, you learn. But whilst you're observing and learning, you've got to start speaking your truth, and you've got to start asking the right questions. As you assimilate through your leadership journey, don't change that behavior of being a real, authentic person from the beginning. We often think we need to tiptoe around things. Unfortunately, I believe in radical candor, and I've only ever been one way in my career. So anybody that's worked with me will tell you, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, but the ugly only comes out if, right? And that's, as a leader, you can't be afraid to step into curating change with a little bit, I don't know if you've heard the Buddha and Hercules balance, with a bit of Hercules at times, to really start step changing and delivering results. Second is cultural sensitivity. Asia and South Africa, Asia and the African continent, incredibly different in cultural sensitivity that's required for resonance and relevance. even Africa, Middle East, different.
Vast difference.
South Africa, Kenya, different. Nigeria was my biggest category market for Cadbury, but not through chocolate, through a sorghum wheat drink called Bonvita. The culture was so different that we had to teach chocolate, but Bonvita had cocoa in it. And that was part of the cultural sensitivity ritual that we had to tap into. So if you're not open to these sensitivities being quite real, whether you're in the developed market or not, unfortunately, you kind of get a little lost before you find your way. Be open to cultural sensitivity.
From a textbook, what would you say your leadership style is?
Oh boy, I always get this question. My philosophy of leadership is you develop as you go and you do change. But my base philosophy is vivid. I always ask myself in every situation, maybe sometimes I forget because the brain's too busy, but most likely 80% of the time I ask myself, is this a moment for me to give vision?
Yes.
Is this a moment for me to help the team dream? Is this a moment for me to bring ideation into the table for the strategic thinking and take out the constraints? Is this a moment for the team to just vent to me? I don't know who I can vent to. Probably my HR, my chief HR. She's probably tired.
You need somebody to vent to.
Yeah, I vent to her. But is this a moment for the team to just vent?
Yes.
We are multinationals. I've only worked in multinationals. There's something called our international global counterparts, centers of excellence, that at times you have to center yourself because you have to guide them better for them to support you better. And we lose that in our thought process and we start pointing fingers. But we need to vent before Nadia can guide, steer. And then it's really around, are we being indecisive? Do we have the right information?
Yes.
Right now, data is the new oil. Everybody says it, but do we really use data right? You know, big data. Are we using the right structured data to give us the right
results,
but translation before results, so we can make the decisive decisions? And that's always my ask. I ask for one data point. And if that one data point is clear, we can find out the rest as we go. That's Absolutely. What a minimal viable product is for. But that's probably my philosophy that underpins how I learn every day to be a better leader and what mistakes I made.
So you improve every day, you change all the time. It's not a thing of this is me, this is my style.
Correct.
After a year, it could be completely different.
My values stay the same.
There we
Respect. Ensuring that I guide the team to a quality result. Build trust. Be open, be honest, have the courageous conversations because people need that.
We do.
You don't go far. You know, moms that tell their kids, you are amazing. My mom didn't. She asked us 98%. You failed. Where's the 2%?
What happened to the 2%?
To the 2%. Like, where did it go wrong? How are you going to do better? And it was always the notion of how do we drive ourselves? That's our roles as a leader. But you evolve your understanding of leadership and your adaptation to different environments, but you don't lose your fundamentals, your values, and your philosophy is vivid. It helps me think.
Sure. Powerful. So I know that you also all about women empowerment.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So how do you make sure that your brand truly supports women empowerment?
So one, I don't think every woman can just be about women empowerment. I think we grow up knowing how women in the past have carved out our opportunity, you and I, to have the fortunate opportunities we've had. And then it's our job to be part of carving the next generation's opportunities, right? But what I've realized is not all women just have this innately and organically. It truly, you know, recently we scanned in a photo of mine for our conference event, and it was a photo of where I sit in the middle and my mom put all these books around me, because where's the unlock for knowledge? It's reading, it's learning. All the books around me, took a picture of the circle of books around me. And only when we scanned it in recently did I start kind of, you know, those photos you can't. And I started zooming in, and every book around me was either written by a woman author or was about a girl child story, or was about a woman that's conquered. Like, this was, I don't know if I was in diapers, it looks like it, but this was all of us. We 4 sisters, and this is, you know, my mom was an entrepreneur. She was CMO for a multinational as well in the UK. The fundamental, you have to learn what role you can play before you can call out this big word called women empowerment. You have to learn how you can make a contribution, and a lot of it comes from what you learned and your upbringing. And then a lot of it comes from you experiencing certain things in certain ways that to a certain extent is incredibly traumatizing. I can give you 1,000 examples of those traumatic moments. I've always been, I'm old now, but I was always young and, you know, honest and open, and those opportunities, you get told what's your place and how to tone down. And as a young bee, I was just like, my mother never told me somebody's going to tell me what's my place. You fight against it. You take the character assassination, because you remember, robust women are aggressive. Robust men are passionate. And then once you find that click as to where you believe you can contribute, and I believe a lot of what I contribute, and that's why I'd much rather take an opportunity like this and influence the future of marketers, because I contribute in that fraternity, in that segment, and I use that contribution to aid what I do elsewhere, i.e. part of the UNHCR refugee agency, sit on the UN Business Women's Network, and I play, you know, Beyonce's got that beautiful song called Footprints.
Yeah.
I believe in it so much. It's one of my favorites because
Such a special song.
Such a special song, right? And I clicked a bit later in my life, not in my 20s, 30s. There's a lot more of an importance in what you're going to leave behind for those that come, for the generation that I'm seeing grow up in 11 nieces and nephews, and how they approach their future. But what doors did I open? Even if it's a 0.00001% difference, I'm okay with that. That's going to be what hopefully my family remember me for. On stereotype lines, how do you get people involved to learn how to support a woman? It's not about getting your voice heard, and it's definitely not about when, you know, when you climb up the ladder, you need to bring another woman. No, friggin' hell, you must cut that out, but send a fishing net down. Bring every woman you can scoop up and help others rise, because then automatically, I don't know if it's the universe that conspires, but you rise without focusing on that career achievement. But that's what we should be doing. And every woman needs to stop seeing another woman as a threat, because that's where women empowerment starts.
Exactly. And that's a big problem, isn't it?
Huge.
Women just don't seem to get along. It's always a toxic kind of environment. And I think once we can get past that, that's when we can really have the conversation about women empowerment.
Indeed. That's when we legitimize.
Yes.
And we become, you know, this boys' club. Why isn't there a ladies' club or women's club?
Women's club, exactly.
Back and say, it's this, I think it's this glass ceiling that also brings this notion of fear.
I think it is fear.
We have fear in our gut, regardless, because you make a mistake as a woman. It is incredibly emphasized. But that's not the same for
The
our
other
male
gender.
counterpart. So you have that fear, prove myself, do this. But you get to a point where you've proven yourself. Now you've just got to apply, and you've got to help other people see how to walk through that door, how to put that fear aside. You know, I've had vitiligo since little, and you can only imagine what kindergarten and grade school was like.
All of
All
that.
these angels that you call, like the children, oh my darling child, they are devils on that
I think
playing
everybody
field.
knows kids at school
Right?
from pre-primary until
Oh
primary.
man,
They can be
they're
so ugly.
vicious.
Very vicious.
Bold.
Little bullies.
Correct. Build your girl child's confidence. It's not about taking her to work, it's about building her tool where she can reach in and that fear can subside because she's got the right tools. She knows what she's worth, she's got confidence, and you've ensured a level of knowledge. People cannot dispute knowledge.
No, you can't dispute knowledge, and neither can you take it away. It's so powerful what you've just said, especially about teach the girl child how to be confident. What I also like to say is teach the girl child how to find something that they're really good at, passionate about, and can make money from it.
That's it. So Indra Nuri, CEO of PepsiCo, who's great admirer of Meto, and she was on a South African tour, got the opportunity to really have an opportunity to kind of masterclass mentor by her. She says one thing. She says, you know where you differentiate yourself is your hip pocket skill. Find something that you love, that you enjoy, become so good at it, that it becomes what makes you rise. But more important, nobody can take it away from you. And that's how you make money.
I think I have goosebumps now.
Right? No, she's amazing. Absolutely amazing. If anybody, you know, she was a finance CFO for many years in her career, but actually as a CEO, I think she became a marketer.
Sure. So let's bring it here. What problems have you faced in building your beauty brand, and how did you solve them?
I don't think we have. I think Avon's been around for 135 years. I don't think in any industry we solve the problems necessarily. I think we learn how consumers' behavior change starts telling you they no longer recognize you as relevant.
Okay.
You unpack that, and then you start learning about category drivers that you wouldn't even think is a category. Right now, the fastest growing segment in the whole of lip segment or subcategory is lip balm, lip gloss. And we thought we were over that era, right? Where people are now looking, yes, there's different consumer segmentations that guide you as to where different consumers are in their needs analyses to solve that tension point that they have. But it's also in relation to what they can afford, right? That's the inflection points. But a basic lip gloss is what any woman wants. Believe it or not, she wants it in her pocket. The second is because we've become so lipstick orientated, we've lost so much hydration. So we use that without taking, our beauty and our red power lipstick off, because it gives us a lot of psychological power, right? That's what the beauty industry is about.
Nadia, can I tell you, when I wake up, because I wake up at 5 and I'm not a morning person. Okay, but it needs to happen. So I get up, and the only thing I want is a simple lip gloss. So I don't even apply makeup. I wake up in the morning, but lip gloss needs to be in my bag. And a simple one. I don't even want it to have color. I don't even want it to have color.
Simple. Certain things you forget. And that's what you go back to. And then, I wish I didn't have to apply makeup. It's just beautiful. I don't have that blessing. But the second part is, once you've got that grounded, how do you service it?
Yes.
The best interest of your brand. The third is how do you then recognize, which is where we are at the moment. How do we recognize? It's no longer innovation. It's about going from a needs analysis, lip gloss, to going to hydration analyses. For example, lip gloss with a bit of moisture added. Then you go into what I call proof points that are non-negotiable. And those proof points are non-negotiable dependent on what your consumers believe is the next generation of new. And that's when you go into demand spaces, i.e. hyaluronic acid. How do you infuse it? We've just done that breakthrough in the world. How do you infuse it into a lipstick for moisture so you don't have to go to your lips, right? We're taking both of them, saying we can service the base need, but how do we service the future signal need, right? And this 2-in-1 factor is really important. It's the fastest way. Right? Then you go beyond demand spaces and you go into foresights and you're looking into future signals that consumers haven't even recognized they've got a need for. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you what those are because we're looking at them currently, but consumers don't even know that they're looking for that because they don't know how to describe it.
Yes.
Until you unpack your data and start coupling things, right? And finding the formula of which levers that you've pulled on over the years across different competitors, different products in your portfolio has shown the peaks and maintained those peaks.
Wow.
Because those are some of the learnings you've got to take into your foresights to recognize those future signals. So there's a lot. Mm-hmm. Right now, Avon International is going back to basics. Second is communication. We know, every brand says this, people communicate and receive so much communication. Everybody's got their voice. Actually, you've got to break through with something.
Oh. So before I let you go, because there's still so much I'd really like to ask you, but what advice would you give to students that are interested in working in beauty?
To marketers in general, I'll get to beauty. To marketers in general,
yes.
Learn how to observe consumers. Learn to love it. Whether you're in Discam, Clicks, Woolworths, whether you're just walking between transportation modes, learn to love observing consumers. That's the base of a great marketing career. Beauty, learn to listen and learn to understand those trends because they don't necessarily get launched by the big brands. Those cultural nuances become the trend. The trend becomes the insight. The insight becomes that tension point that you are late to, whether you're in beer or beauty. Craftsmanship, for example, of beers. SAB was hit with that AB and Bev. We sometimes come to the table too late. Don't take away from having the right conversation with the right entrepreneur that not only can teach you, but that you can open up a door through your brand's deep pockets at times. We don't have deep pockets anymore, but I come from brands that do. But second, the level of awareness. Do you know 98% of South Africans know exactly what Avon and Justine is? They're very clear. Beauty and skincare. We're working on the why they need to buy us, right?
Yes, all the time.
And if you
it's
don't,
the why.
If you don't know your cultural nuances and your consumer behavior and how that ticks, you can't build the formula of money and love.
Nadia, thank you so much for joining me today. You've given us incredible insights. Women empowerment, you've just really, you've blown me away. And just also marketing and branding. And I think business students who are focusing on branding and marketing, they've got a lot to take away from this conversation. So thank you so much.